and talk a little bit about Desmos. We have short time together, so if there's some questions that you have, please drop them in the chat. We can address them. But I know some of you have some familiarity with this. I'm going to go and share my screen and talk about what I see as the backside on Desmos. If you've never seen that before, you've all experienced as a student. And so, kind of going over the background of Desmos, some informational that you may have heard of Desmos and interactive it before is just the calculator version that is on a lot of the assessments. Desmos is even having their own curriculum in mathematics, as well as contracting out with other publishers. So you may see some of these activities built into the publishers, but you can also do your own. Again, this is kind of like these are tools kind of a conversations, and we also have other ideas of diving deeper into Desmos to even doing the coding or the actual development of some of the activities. Today, we'll just get into kind of the overview about what it looks like. If you are into the web, the Desmos website, there's two sides of it that we just mentioned. You've been doing the student side, and if I get into the desmos.com, this is Jennifer's site. There's a teacher activity piece that we'll take a look at in a little bit, but that kind of opens up the whole world of ideas around Desmos. And then once you open up those kind of components, it opens up features that access from multiple content areas in terms of domains, as well as grade levels. And we can talk, I'll give you some time at the end maybe to explore some of those. We can walk through a little bit more if you're not familiar. But this idea of using tech with Desmos, the chance to do those quick little blurbs that we had for like the starter screens, as well as maybe a whole a unit or a whole week-long activity. And I'll show what the teacher side of things look like on Desmos. Just for example, I hope you all can see this is my teacher dashboard for Desmos and around that activity around the forestry STEM careers. And the first thing that I did is I anonymized everybody here. So these are mathematicians and scientists across the history. So then especially with students, you can show some of this without really, the students can be anonymous in what they're work on, as well as where they're at in the unit. A couple things, the dashed lines indicate that you as a student participated in that and moved forward. Someone's still hanging on there. And then the dots is an example of that means that you have given an answer within that. So maybe you had a question, and I can go over here to this person and say, hey, I noticed about the question about this tree is dead, or do you need some help on that? And I can address individual questions or concern, noticing that there's some pieces there that are missing. I also can notice if there's something that skipped all the way through, maybe there's some technical difficulties that maybe someone logged off, but I can see the progress and see where you're at in terms of the big picture. But then I can also look at what you've done as an individual class or a group about their answers. So for example, here's some examples from one of the answers. We could talk about them. We could look at common ideas. We can look at differences, etc. I could even highlight some of these ideas by taking snapshots, and there's a little camera that then takes a snapshot, and now that snapshot is captured up here in my toolbar, and I can then highlight them and present like, okay, here's someone's example to one of their answers. Let's take a look at it and talk about it. So there's a lot of interaction going on with Desmos in terms of how you can navigate ideas of kids and their thinking, as well as displaying ideas and then having that discourse back and forth with students in breakout rooms, together in classrooms, heads together at tables, etc. Along with also having this individualized work. The last thing that I want to share, and then I'll pause before we go to a next tool, is there's this pacing component up here. And right when I hit pacing, I start messing with it, it's going to move you all back and forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the activity, and I'm going to show you how I can pace some of the slides deck, which will then slow down the students through the activity. So for example, if Monday came along, I want to do kind of an intro or initial ideas about a concept, and maybe those are on slides 1 through 3, I can highlight those slides, restrict those screens, and then so now everybody that is involved in this activity can only see the first 3 slides. And so then we can pause and have group conversations, and then maybe we come back on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I can open up more of the activity to then pace us through the conversation. So my initial planning was a large activity, and now I'm breaking it down into maybe a week-long unit or daily chunks where I'm pacing kids through it. So pacing's a lot of fun. I just remember sometimes I forget to unpause, and then kids yell at me like, hey, you know, I can't move on. And so then I always have to double check and come back to that one. So there is a teacher side that I'm going to pop in the chat that will then open up this activity page. And then you can, that's in the chat. I'll show what opens up here. It opens up to my teacher desktop, and I can look at all of the ideas. I can edit my activity. I can copy and edit it, or I can share it with a colleague, and then that will be connected to my account within Desmos. So that was kind of it's a nice way of opening up a concept, as well as moving them through content, and perhaps at the end doing some checking in of where they pause, and I can manipulate screens around. So that was a fast, quick overview of Desmos. Are there any questions or thoughts that I need to cover right now, Jennifer?
Yeah, there is one question in the chat. Curious about learning how to code in Desmos. Do you know of any resources that people could go to if they want some advanced skills?
Okay, yeah, great question. Thank you for bringing that up. If you see this Desmos, the teacher.desmos.com, and I'll show you, I'll get to it right here. Once I log in, I can get to all of my my desktop, and then up here in the corner, there's a resource page, and there's a ton of information about how to interact with Desmos, how to do some components of Desmos. And what I heard the question really asking is down here. Let's see if they give it to it. Activity building and the layering component. And they might have moved some things around about, oh, here it is. A bunch of tutorials on how to make different types of screens or activities. So for example, if you're interested in a card sort or how to include a calculator, that will then tell you how to access that and make that into your layering component. So that's like, in my view, that's like Desmos 301, I guess, if we're looking at it in terms of a set. Accessing activities and making them on my own desktop, and then playing around with it, and then adjusting my activities, and then making my own would be kind of like a learning progression for me, is how I think about it. So
yeah, I'll just add in that I believe they're still doing them, but Desmos, if you find them on YouTube, they do weekly live 1 hour sessions, I think on Thursdays at 4 o'clock, and they talk a lot about the different aspects of Desmos. They bring a lot of their coders in to share different features and how to utilize them. And that's also where they release a lot of their new activities for the first time.
There's curriculum as well. So thank you for bringing that up. I can go down that path if that's where our group's at. I don't know. Is that okay? So this screen right here looks familiar. This is the one that ends. It's Andy now. And I can go into the teacher, browse activity, And this opens up all the pieces that we were talking about. So the starter screens, if I just click on there, I can open up any of these different types of activities. The checking in ones are the ones that I used. And so if I find the screens for checking in and I click on the this as a collection, I've added it already, or I can start a new collection, or I can click on the whole set of screens and it gives me a chance to look at what screens are used. I only used 4 of them. And so I can make a my own by editing, copying and edit. And once I hit copy and edit, it makes me dive into the system and move screens around or cut them or add, instead of saying, how are you feeling today? You know, how did you, you know, something about how did you understand the concept from yesterday's activity, et cetera. So you can edit some of these things. And this is getting down that path of the computational layering. That would be like down the road if I was doing a course sequence, I guess.
I think we're ready to move on. I'm just going to address it. There's 2 questions here. Desmos, for their search engine, does only allow you to search activities that they have created. But if you go to Google and you type in a topic and then press and then Desmos after it, you will find a lot of activities that other teachers have created. Is there a collection of Desmos activities that have been made for modeling? If you go to the course content Moodle page, there is a Google document there where we have started compiling different activities that teachers have made. And if you have made some, please share them with us and we will add them to that collection.